In recent years, I have noticed a trend in gaming that has become more prevalent each following year. Cutscenes in games have become more numerous and longer than before, making it sometimes feel like a chore to focus on the story, characters, and even the game itself. It was not unusual that early back in the 2000s, games were often just, 8 hours long, and people were satisfied with it if the game was good enough. Games nowadays have a much longer runtime. And don't get me wrong, I like games with tons of cutscenes. Some of the best games ever made heavily emphasize cutscenes, but they must be essential as to why they are there and not destroy the game's pacing. I like to call what is happening to games at the moment movification, as games are turning more into movies than being games. I remember how older games used to have only a few cutscenes throughout the game, mainly at the game's intro and ending. Otherwise, the cutscenes were mostly just, in-game voiceovers.
Raynor, I finished scouting out the area and... You pig!
What? I haven't even said anything to you yet.
Yeah, I bet you were thinking it.
Oh, yeah. You're a telepath. Look, let's just get on with this, okay?
Right.
It's clear that the technology in mocap, the voice actor and character models have drastically increased and is more or less using the same technology as Hollywood does for their projects. I think this trend started around the time Xbox One was announced, and if you remember that, it was a disaster and probably the worst gaming console reveal of all time. Xbox lost a generation due to that stunt.
You idiots.
It had a heavy focus on streaming and TV in particular. So this is the moment I feel that gaming was turning more, towards movies or TV shows instead of just, gaming. There's an excellent example of cutscenes going on for far too long in the game Quantum Break, which was released in 2016. And it tried to be half a game and half a TV show. And the cutscenes were so long that controllers went idle. There are some modern examples, mainly from Sony lately. Take The Last of Us 2, for example. Is this scene really necessary? Why does this segment have to be a cutscene instead of gameplay? God of War 2018 and Ragnarok were as well riddled with cutscenes that should have just been gameplay. And for me, these things messes with the game's pacing. It is also weird that games put so much effort and money into graphics, mocap and cutscenes. The budget for games has become huge these recent years. And the leaks regarding Sony's product sales numbers have The Last of Us 2 with a budget of over $200 million having sold over 10 million copies. It means the game is still not profitable. Not too long ago, game graphics looked like this. And it was nowhere near, realistic or, movie quality. Though there were games like Wing Commander and Red Alert that used their cutscenes with real life actors to play the scenes, instead of, just having an in-game cutscene or cinematics.
You didn't forget my invitation, did you, Commander? I was hoping you were free this evening.
Not bad, huh, Commander? I clean up pretty good. How about celebrating over a drink tonight? I know this great little pub in Soho. Commander?
Nowadays, some of the cutscenes we see in games could be shown to people who have no idea about gaming and they would think it was from a movie. The recent Callisto Protocol comes to mind. The average duration of cutscenes has increased drastically in the last 10 years. And you have probably noticed it on YouTube when you search for, the game and movie or the game or cutscenes, and many of these can be over 10 hours long. Of course, some games are intentionally like this. For example, the puzzle games and story-focused games like Life is Strange, any Telltale game, and the Until Dawn series. With minimal gameplay and a heavy focus on the characters' interaction, the dialogue options, and cutscenes in general, the issue I find is with game genres that should not use this formula, such as the first-person shooter or the action RPG genre. Games like Mass Effect, Baldur's Gate 3, and Dragon Age perfectly balanced gameplay and cutscenes. Of course there is the pacing. The Last of Us 1 had a ton of cutscenes, but they never dragged down the game's pace. So now the question, why is all of this happening? I think many gamers don't mind cutscenes at all. As I said earlier, I love them if they are used correctly. But I'm starting to find it problematic how a lot of developers are starting to glorify the movie industry and want to simulate them. It is also probably due to the fact that gaming has during its lifetime sustained much criticism and not much seriousness or recognition, creating questions such as if games can even be considered art, which is ridiculous. To me, it kind of feels like gaming has a inferiority complex, stemming from this history of not being taken seriously, while, movies is up there on the big screens, advertised everywhere, the big shows, etc., all the awards. It just feels more serious, and games want to be taken serious. I mean, we can also just do a one by one. Just look at the Game Awards and compare it to the Emmys or the Oscars. They are trying to do the same formula when it doesn't have to do it. At the same time, video games have, for quite some time now, earned more revenue than the movie and music industry combined. While these two are not growing, gaming grows exceptionally each year. We often see game companies that instead of hiring professional voice actors, they instead hire well-known actors as voice actors just for that, star power and advertisement, even though they are not even great voice actors from the start. And bringing up the movie celebrities, having them talk and promote the game, even though they have no idea what the game is or what they are even advertising. They are just there for a cash check. During the 2023 Game Awards show, it made me think just how much the gaming industry is actively simping for the movie industry. And the show got a ton of backlash, which was good. Inviting Hollywood celebrities as guest speakers who took up to 10 minutes to talk about the most useless stuff ever, while the winners of the Game of the Year award barely had 5 minutes to make their speech when they wanted to dedicate it to the game's developers who did not make it all the way up to release. I understand this implementation was due to the prior year's Game Awards, where judges' speech took a little bit too long.
Now I see why I couldn't get more than a +1. Thank you to the Game Awards. First off, I have to thank my mama. Who's...
Much later.
I got to spend all those days in that volume with you. This is for all of us.
So this year instead they had a teleprompter that said, wrap it up.
So we want to dedicate this to all people we lost, and especially to Jim, our lead cinematic artist who passed away in the last month.
It's almost as if the Game Awards are embarrassed of gaming. It feels like many people in the gaming industry are the little brothers who want to be just like their big brothers, Hollywood.
It doesn't even make any sense! I'm the eldest boy! I am the eldest boy!
When there's no need for that. Games can do things that movies cannot, such as how, whenever a person plays a game, they are the ones experiencing it as well with their avatar. Gaming does not need to be like movies. They should not try to be movies. Movies will never be able to emulate the feeling of dread, epicness, and pure adrenaline when you enter the last mission in Mass Effect 2. They will never emulate the feeling of being a badass monster hunter like Geralt. The feeling of creating meaningful bonds with characters whom you could call friends in Persona 4 and 5, or the feeling of doing awesome parkour throughout the City of Glass in Mirror's Edge. Games are games. They were never intended to be like movies. Developers should stop this mindset of inferiority to the movie industry when they have already surpassed it in their own medium. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.